Hello to you all and welcome to IMPROVATE's International Innovation Conference. IMPROVATE is a platform for creating long-lasting connections, enabling change makers in technology and decision makers in government to make progress through innovation. IMPROVATE is all about finding solutions and sparking collaborations that will improve the quality of life for people around the world. Today, we will be discussing how the world is showing the first signs of being on the way to emerging from the global crisis and how innovation and technology will enable us to learn, travel, and improve health systems in the post-COVID world. Joining us today from Belgrade, President Rosen Plevnilev, the President of Bulgaria between 2012 and 2017. And here at the studio, IMPROVATE's founder and chair, Irina Nevzlin. And throughout this special broadcast, we will be hearing from ministers and ambassadors from Greece, Serbia, Montenegro, Poland, and Bulgaria. And of course, a key pillar of IMPROVATE conferences, leading Israeli innovation companies presenting technological solutions that will take the world beyond the current crisis. Kamada, Zebra Medical Vision, Data Tech Labs, Sivan, Tempramed Israel, Innovitech Medical Solutions, Janix, HD Bioimaging, SOPI, and the Jerusalem Development Authority. As always, watching along with us are representatives of investment funds from around the world looking to invest in Israel innovation. Starting us off here at the studio, IMPROVATE's founder and chair, Irina Nevzlin. Among her many achievements, Irina is also an entrepreneur and author who recently published the book, The Impact of Identity, The Power of Knowing Who You Are. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Why did you establish the company and what motivates you at IMPROVATE?
First of all, it's very exciting to be here. It's our fourth conference in the last 3 months, and I'm very excited to be here, and I really hope that we'll meet soon physically, and not only in the studio and not only through Zoom. Look, I believe that we all want to work with people who have the same mentality or same mindset as we have, same approach to life. And one thing that always drove me was the win-win approach. So when two parties come together and they want to make something happen, if both have an attitude that if one wins, the another wins, then I think a lot of long-lasting and deep things and positive things can happen. And so this win-win approach, you can see it, you can see the result. For example, if we take out we're now in the time of COVID and in a very difficult time, but we have some, as you said, we have some light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. And this light comes from the rollout of the COVID vaccine. And what happens is, you have pharma companies, which ultimately is the technological companies. It's all based on technology, the vaccine, which work with government. Now, they produce the vaccines for millions of people, make the world a better place, and they make a lot of money with that. Government has to take care of the health of the citizens, so government provides the result for the citizens, and citizens are happy, right? So there's a classic win-win-win attitude. So the IMPROVATE is the platform for this win-win approach.
Bringing them together.
Yes.
What unique values does IMPROVATE offer through its services?
Look, I don't know if it's unique, but we focus on solutions and not the problems. It's very easy in the current world to find whom to blame and what the problem is, and I think we're sometimes all driven to do that when we're miserable. But ultimately, you want to ask yourself, what do you want to do with that? And so what we want to make sure, we want to bring the parties together, different partners together. We want to make sure that they focus on solution and not on the problem. And we want to create, establish effective communication between them. So the way we do that is we do it like we do here today. And we've been blessed. We did last 4 conferences. We had over 20 countries represented by ministers from around the world and over 30 companies. And it's amazing to see that bringing them together and creating the dialogue between them. We, of course, all hope that we'll meet physically in the IMPROVATE first physical conference.
You say, don't get used to it.
Yes, that's one thing that we're doing, and that's very effective, by the way. What we spoke before, you don't always have to leave the room to have an effective conversation, right? This is a new way we are communicating now. Sure. We'll, of course, have the physical conferences. Also, we are going to have the business delegations that are going and meeting people. And
so this is just the first step. Later on will be delegations and
delegations, yes. Dialogues. And the last thing I'll say that we've started doing recently is we meet through our work, we meet a lot of companies, and some of them produce amazing products. But the problem is for this product to get to the right market. Sometimes they are unaware of how to get to the new market. So what we do is we make sure that we provide the strategic advice and guidance of how to take something which we think will benefit life of many and make it available to many more. So that's, I think, what's unique about us.
Thank you, and that's what we're doing today.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Irina. We'll get back to you throughout this broadcast. President Plevnilev, great to see you in another IMPROVATE International Conference.
Great to see you guys. I'm so proud to be with you.
So many women in the studio.
Well, you're right.
Tell us a little bit, how has the global pandemic affected Eastern European countries, and what's the current situation there?
Yes, first of all, let me tell you how proud I am that I am with you today. That I'm a proud member of the IMPROVATE family, the IMPROVATE community. Just to express this positive energy coming out of the studio, your smiles, the solutions you're bringing. But sometimes, as you know, presidents go all over the world. We communicate with a lot of people. We visit a lot of countries. To me, IMPROVATE is really unique because of two important things. The one is that it brings all of us together, the whole region. It's just not one or two countries. It's the region of Southeast Europe, of Eastern Europe together. 11 countries. 5 from those countries are EU member states, 8 are NATO member states, 70 million people. All of those countries are friends of Israel. All of those countries are strategic partners of Israel. And all of them want to do more and more and more with Israel. So IMPROVATE is unique of bringing all of us together. Today we will see ministers, deputy prime ministers, former presidents, business leaders, mayors, media, investment funds, bankers, all of them together in looking for solutions. And that's what really strikes me as I participated in so many conferences all over the world. It's extremely focused, IMPROVATE, on bringing solutions. Within a couple of hours, a company, no matter it's coming from Bulgaria, Greece, or from Israel, can understand, can have a deep knowledge, can make contacts, and can do business. So now let me tell you about the region. First of all, of course, the pandemics hit us very, very, very hard. Mm-hmm. The economies will be going down 4 to 8% this year. Tourism was hit very hard. Probably we will see 70% down of the number of tourists visiting the countries. You can imagine there is such a great countries in the region, especially about tourism, having a global locations like Greece, like Croatia, Greece is attracting more than 30 million tourists a year, Croatia almost 30 million, Bulgaria 10, Romania almost 15 million. Everything was drying out. We saw 70% down. And now, of course, again, we're coming to the point that there is a great potential in the region for tourism, for education. There is so much talent. There is a great focus of the governments for innovations. We're looking for potential partnerships. There is a hope for normalization, and that comes with the vaccination, of course, and also with the partnerships we have with world-leading countries like Israel. So thank you for this partnership. Thank you for bringing us again, all of us together. And again, today we will focus on the potential of this great region of Europe to uncover, to unlock, to prosper.
Thank you so much. This is very exciting. We'll come back to you later on. Tourism and economy, there's almost no other industry that has been hit as hard as the tourism industry. Airlines, hotels, attractions, hundreds of thousands of tourist industry workers have lost their jobs, and billions of dollars in revenues have slumped to zero. We're honored to have with us here at the studio Israeli Minister of Tourism, Orit Farkas-Cohen, and Ilanit Malkior, who is in charge of the Tourism and Jerusalem Development Authority. Also joining us are Mr. Hari Teoharis, Minister of Tourism, Greece, Jerusalem Mayor Moshe Leon, and from Bulgaria, Ms. Vesna Baltina, Deputy Mayor of Burgas Municipality, Mrs. Svatelina Borislavova, Chair of the Supervisory Board of Bulgarian American Credit Bank, and Irina is still with us. Thank you all for being with us today. Before we begin, let's take a moment to see the beauty of Jerusalem.
Jerusalem is modern, ancient, it's hectic, patient. Jerusalem is a beauty to behold. Its walls are old and domes are gold. Jerusalem is spicy, dynamic, it's iconic, panoramic. Jerusalem is inspiring, unique, it's simple and chic. Jerusalem is brimming with styles, vibrant, charismatic, abundant smiles. Cobblestone streets, colored with sweets. Eclectic orchestra of authentic beats. It's the shuk, the basta, the shawarma. It's all about good karma. It's people, gates and views, culture, art and muse. Jerusalem is tradition, innovation. It's about openness, recreation. It's a city, destination, a goal. Jerusalem is how it feels to be whole. It's the knowledge, the courage, the drive to create. It's the source, the spirit, the reflection of faith. Jerusalem is Israel. It's Mediterranean chill. Jerusalem is real.
Wow. Joining us from Jerusalem is Mayor Moshe Leon.
Dear friends, it is my great pleasure to send you all my warm greetings from Jerusalem. You might think of Jerusalem as an ancient city. This is true. It is. It is a city with a long and rich history. But I have to tell you, Jerusalem has always been a place of new ideas. It is a city that inspires us to look at the world and ask, what can I do? What can I do to make the world a better place? For some, the result was to write holy texts and philosophical works, and for others, the answer was to invent self-driving cars. And that is what you are all doing today, making the world a better place. Jerusalem, even during the dark days of coronavirus, has continued to develop our innovation economy. New startups join large companies, and together they are at the heart of the capital city, of the startup nation. We are building more space for our growing innovation companies. We are building more hotel rooms. And Jerusalem, along with all Israel, is leading the world in vaccinations and coming out of coronavirus. More than ever, we know today that we are all one community. Coronavirus has done so much harm, but at least it must remind us that we are all human beings and we can only see true progress when we work together. So I say to all of you, in Jerusalem we are planning for the future. I want to thank IMPROVATE and all the participants today for being part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Moshe Leon. Minister Cohen, hello again to you. With the vaccine rollout moving ahead at pace in Israel and in the world, can we be optimistic? Are you optimistic? Can you start to see the end of the pandemic?
First of all, it is great being here. Yes,
also.
It's great being here with this distinguished guest and all the public that can witness and see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, I'm a little bit optimistic. You know, Israel is leading in vaccination around the world, and that gives us a big advantage, and we need to figure out how to expand it and how to make the best use of it with regards to the Israeli people going back to routine. I also loved the film that was made about Jerusalem and about Israel in general. I think we have a beautiful country combining, you know, old and modern business and family, you know, the Hermon-capped, snow-capped, beautiful landscapes in Israel and modern Tel Aviv. So we have a lot to offer to the world. But of course, when we're talking about tourism, which is my ministry, I think that this is the most heavily affected industry in this COVID-19 virus. I had the privilege of, you know, having a little bit of success in reviving the industry or maybe keeping its infrastructure alive, you know, a lot because of a very good cooperation with the Ministry of Health. We did this, you know, innovative experiment in Israel when we created green islands free of COVID-19, of tourism in Israel, in the north of the country and in the south of the country, a little bit in Eilat and in the Dead Sea areas, where we created tourism areas which were COVID-free, with people showing, having negative results to COVID-19, and Israelis could go along. The vaccine era is creating a new era for us, but is also creating new challenges, technological challenges. The challenge would be how to balance this with what's happening around the world, with the third wave, with the mutations of the virus, how we can, harness the technology, like was said before me, and create, safe ways to go on planes and to bring in tourists without exposing Israel to the
and this
dangers
is the
of the
question.
mutations.
What do you think are the initial steps need to be taken to get the industry back in business?
So first of all, if we're talking about domestic tourism in Israel, we are already working on it. There is a big deliberation and a dialogue that me as the Minister of Tourism is conducting with the Minister of Health, Mr. Edelstein, who is very open to thinking in an innovative way. I think that after this lockdown that Israel is now experiencing, we are about to come out from this lockdown with millions of Israelis already vaccinated. And this is a true big message. It is a change. And what we are thinking about is pushing forward a program by which villages tourism, with the suburbs, and also heavy tourists and hotel facilities will be open under a green, we call it certificate. People who can show that they already been vaccinated or can show a PCR negative results to COVID-19, if we're talking about the children that are joining the adults, serological, exams, again, and another certificate for people who healed COVID-19, which are also, have some level of immunity, will be able to go and enjoy tourism.
This will be a kind of passport that you will present, and it will give you free access.
Like a green passport. And the advantage of the tourism industry is that it is monitored. People can come to the desk of a hotel. People can come to the hotels of a Zimmer. In my view, people can come to attraction places, like you said before, in open spaces. And if they show these green passports, they can come in bigger groups and larger groups. If we're talking about the open spaces of attraction. And, I also had a talk about restaurants and culture facilities. These places must be managed in the new world according to the green passport, policy. We will have to do it carefully in a balanced way because we want to see what will be the effect of, on one hand, being vaccinated, and on the other hand, living alongside with the new mutations that not all the implications of these mutations are visible and understandable. But Israel is truly facing a new era, and I say it everywhere. We are going to a new world in which we will have thousands of people that might carry the virus in Israel, but they will be mostly young people, healthy people. So if we are used to past when we have tens of thousands of people carrying the virus, the country will be under a total lockdown. Now we are starting to think seriously in the government about maybe how to live alongside with the COVID-19, because most of the people, 30, 18
that are in jeopardy are already vaccinated.
Yes, because once we are all vaccinated, it will be interpreted in really less and less people that will be suffer, and to be heavy, will be the number that we got to use to it. When we're saying people are affected by COVID-19, when we're talking about millions and millions of Israelis being vaccinated already, it will be translated to less and less people in the hospitals, and God forbid that
there will be another economy. There will be two parallel economies. Yes. One for the people who are already vaccinated.
Ideology speaking, if we are the country, we can supply people the vaccine. Once people take the decision not to get vaccinated, I think that we as the government, as long as we reach the people who cannot come and have the hard time to go and get the vaccine, we must think now about how to open the economy and how to live alongside COVID-19.
Heal the economy. Thank you very much, Minister Cohen. Please stay with us. because we will get back to you. And now we're with Mr. Hari Theoharis, Minister of Tourism of Greece. Hello to you again. I have a problem hearing.
Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
the invitation. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And Greece is one of the top destinations for Israelis and many other countries. It's my favorite, personally. What can you tell us about the effect the pandemic had on tourism industry in Greece?
Well, you can imagine how difficult it has been. However, Greece managed to fare better than other countries, especially in the first wave and in the second wave. If anything, we only had 2 waves, and the rest of Europe had about 3 waves of the pandemic. This was because we were very swift, very decisive, and we had the cooperation of the general public in taking this seriously and ensuring that we adhere with the rules. We managed to open safely during the summer. We innovated a lot, like Israel does now with the vaccination, in terms of reaching a wide audience. We innovated the kind of testing regime. And as a result, we had great interest and a lot of Israelis coming to Greece during the summer where we were open. We're currently in a period of restrictions and lockdown, and we have started our vaccination program in earnest. And we hope that we will be able to welcome Israelis soon. We're actually in discussions about recognizing, respectively, the different certificates that the 2 countries issue.
I am waiting.
We feel, both in terms of investment and in terms of tourism, that we can resume our good relationship.
Good. What's your conclusion based on Greece's policy during the pandemic? You've just mentioned opening and closing the industry. Is it going to work in the near future?
Well, the conclusion is that we have to take, if you like, slightly more conservative steps, in the sense that we now have the vaccine. So there's an end in sight. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. So what we need to do is be very careful and vigilant and ensure that the vaccine reaches most of the population, especially Greece. Has a lot of, if you like, bigger operational issues in terms of the geography. We have many islands with few residents, so it's a bit more complicated to reach out to all those various places, but we have the operational plan in place. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that we have to aim swiftly to resume traveling arrangements, to allow people the freedom to live their life as much as possible, returning to normality. And that, of course, requires an international cooperation. We need to coordinate in order to have common standards and common ideas. To that effect, we have proposed in the EU to have a common certificate. I don't want to call it passport, because I don't want to give the impression that unless you have it, you cannot travel. This is not what we're actually saying. We're saying that everybody should be able to travel. But that doesn't mean that if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't have a green lane, a faster and seamless procedure. Whereas if you don't have it, of course, you should be tested and possibly quarantined or other different kind of measures. But the idea is that we need to coordinate, to cooperate in order to resume traveling and tourism as soon as possible. This has hit hard a lot of communities. I know that Israel as well has been hit hard with this, with the places in Eilat and other touristic places. We all want to very quickly restart the economies.
Yes. What's your policy now? Is Greece right now open for tourists?
Well, in theory, but we have a lot of restrictions. So restaurants are open, so hotels are open, and they could, somebody could come, but this is mainly to cover essential traveling, business travel, other things that you cannot avoid, because there's not much that you can do, unfortunately, during this period. We're slowly starting to open the economy again. We have been very successful in keeping down the numbers. We did not see a spike after the Christmas and New Year vacations, which is a very good sign that our measures have worked very well. So we're now are able to resume the reopening of the economy and hope to welcome tourists in bigger numbers very soon.
I'm going to be one of them next.
Yes.
The next thing I can
You
do.
have a personal invitation.
Interest, yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Theoharis, and we'll get back to you, Minister Cohen. You've just heard him. You promote a policy, as you just mentioned, the Green Islands, opening hotel and guest houses. This is the near future, domestic tourism. We're not going to be able to open up our doors to tourism from abroad?
You just touched the most challenging, question with regards to the tourism industry in Israel, because now the policy in Israel is to close our skies because of all the mutations and the danger that comes with it. I think that we will work in two stages. My vision as a tourism minister is, first of all, to expand the model of green island of tourism into the whole of the country of Israel, because of the success of the vaccination and our really international success in being the leading country in vaccination. My vision is to open all of the hotels and guest house and the attractions and so on to people at the first stage with, let's say, a green certificate, like the minister before me said. But the challenges will be to work alongside with that on how to create an open sky policy with people that could come from abroad and tour Israel. This question and this challenge is actually technological, and it has to do with a lot of innovation. I spoke with the Minister of Health, and we know that there are all these applications around the world that the flight companies will have to adopt and to incorporate into their work, so that when people come on planes and show their either vaccination certificates or negative COVID-19 examination, there will be a viable way to see that these, that these certificates are valid and they are exactly. Yeah. And that has to do with, creating some application or international information center that
like
will be
one
able,
standard that will be for all.
That will be able to connect between the different countries and the different air flights, flight companies, and it involves questions of privacy of information and so on. So this is now under work because some of the flights already have the application, some of the companies, and Israel is really pushing hard we need to harness like an international information center between many countries in order to be able to push this forward.
So until then, the economy has to rely on domestic tourism, and we're waiting for that also to open up.
Yeah, I think that people in Israel are waiting to go out.
Yes.
And I also think it's a health thing. We need to, to catch our breath from what's happening here. We just spoke before you started broadcasting that how much we would want to go out again and feel normal again. And I think that the tourism and in the hotels and the guest house and the attractions and restaurants and the culture in Israel, this is how people can feel normal again for their soul.
Right. So talking about normal, let's talk about the city of Jerusalem. Hello to Ilanit Malkior again. In 2018, over 3 million tourists visited Jerusalem, and 2020 had seen none of them. It's really a tragedy. How does a vibrant city such as Jerusalem cope with this situation?
So first of all, I want to say thank you. And when you say how does Jerusalem is dealing with this situation, so I'm taking the values that Irena spoke about of IMPROVATE. I think that the one great thing about Jerusalem, city full of history, but city that has been known in the past a lot of challenges. Orit knows she lives there from terror acts, different negative perception. So it's another challenge. But this time we're not alone. This time we are with the rest of Israel and the rest of the world, what sometimes make it more even comfortable. But I want to say that when I'm looking at tourism, and all the former ministers spoke about, there was mentioning how many tourists used to come to their destination, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 100 million. I want to say that I was in the same race. I was about counting how many tourists were coming to Jerusalem.
How many every year to challenge yourself.
Exactly. And now leading the city of Jerusalem from a tourism point of view, actually I'm looking, and we all have to ask ourselves and to incorporate and to adopt, I think, a little bit different philosophy, which is not about the quantity, it's about the quality. It's about the quality of the experience that we are going to provide to our tourists. all the way through. The minister spoke very nicely about, the health challenges, the other challenges, but also how we are going to organize the timeline of the tourists and set it up in a way that will not be damaging. I think that the one thing that Corona told us is, hello, nature is here. Stop for a second.
Don't exploit your environment.
Exactly. Okay. So I think that everything to do with sustainability and tourism has to be one of our next challenge. And I want to say another thing about technology, because it's kind of a buzzword that everyone are talking about. We in the city working very hard to incorporate technology into the user experience interface of our tourists. One example, we made a roundtable with all our museums, and we were challenging them and saying, okay, tourists is coming or not coming. We want to manage the time that they are into the museum, how the experience could be much more valuable, has much more impact once they go back. And suddenly there were great ideas. So Jerusalem, as the mayor said, can be heritage and history, but it can be also innovative and can be adopted.
As we've seen on the video.
Exactly, to the rest of the world. So I think that there were good things that came out of this, last year. And there's a lot of innovation in the state of Israel and the tourism industry. I just shared with the minister yesterday, they had a wonderful panel in Canada. There's a lot of thirsty into the Israeli technology, and we can incorporate that into the tourism experience and platform.
The day after.
The day after, moving forward.
So let's take a look at the day after, based on what we've heard from the two ministers, Cohen and Theo Harris. What are your plans to bring back the tourists back to Jerusalem?
We were also, as I said, very innovative. So we spoke about conferences. So there is soon going to be the Women's Day, International Day. So how are we going to celebrate that? Hopefully that you're going to join us as well, and the minister, is one-on-one. So we're doing a one-on-one meeting with the regulation that we are, of course, obliged by the Minister of Health. We're taking it very seriously. We are building what we call a different plane in different phases. Phase 1 is internal tourism. The phase 2 is the international, which we are working very hard also with the government on that. And also looking to which kind of segments will come. I can tell you there is so much hope, and people want to pray, but they want to pray physically in the city of Jerusalem. And I think the state of Israel is giving a lot of light to so many people around the world with the vaccination and saying there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We can go out there. So we can incorporate that, working very hard to bring tourists. There's going to be an international competition. The Minister of Greece spoke about it, other president. I'm sure everyone wants a tourist. We will have to share and work together. And maybe there will be, more packages that will be including more than one destination. It's okay if we will less damage the world for that, but we can all join that and do better international cooperation in that aspect.
Thank you, Ilanit. Very interesting. Talking about technology, SOPI is the experience, technology, and assurance behind clean. SOPI was recognized as one of the top 5 disinfection and hand hygiene technologies in 2020, winner of Top 100 by Red Herring 2020, winner of the Global Impact Awards 2019, and recognized in the presence of Mr. Reuven Rivlin, the President of Israel, Max Simonovsky, the inventor and the CEO of SOPI, and the Clean Machine is here with us today. And good morning. And before we begin, let's take a look at SOPI. Hello, Max.
Hi, good morning.
Why now and where this kind of high-tech is needed?
It's a very interesting question because we thought that it's not really why now. We started back in 2018 as we recognized that, as Moshe Leon, the mayor of Jerusalem, mentioned before, you have driving cars that drive themselves. So why can't you have 21st century technologies that can support, guide, and educate you for good hand hygiene? And that's exactly what we need right now. If you look around the globe, that was one of the main statements from the health authorities that we're repeating again and again without any change, that you must wash your hands properly, and that properly with specific guidance. And understanding that challenge that we see pretty much everywhere where you have people with hands today, we need to have technology that can solve and help with that. So that's why. That's the why.
And where?
It's pretty much everywhere right now. We have systems that are installed and incorporated in schools, in office buildings, in healthcare centers, in nursing homes facilities, in Jerusalem, by the way, and in Petah Tikva as well. We have a great and beautiful project with the municipality of Rehovot in one of the biggest high schools over there. And we think that it's really needed everywhere right now. So if you think about public health and if you think about tourism, that's pretty much everywhere where you want to go.
Together.
That goes together.
So what are the actual results of the implementation? You've said Rehovot, Jerusalem. So what are the results?
The results are very great because you can see in a very straightforward information that the technology can generate, and you can see it probably on one of the screens in a couple of seconds, that there is a straight trend line of improvement of multiple 200%, 300%, 400% in all of the environments where we work. What it says is that people washing hands much better and more often. And that's
educates them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want to have.
Good. That's good to know. What about other public health applications that you're probably responsible for?
So we see a lot of inquiries coming from general public health. We received inquiries from global companies that manage airports, from amusement parks, from museums. And we understand that if you want to get back to the new normal, you need to have a new future, a new technology. And SOAPI is exactly part of it. So SOAPI brings hand hygiene into the future. And the main application that we see right now is education and public health.
Mainly. Is it available in the EU?
It is.
Where?
We have distributors that working right now in Italy, that working in Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg. We have beside you a great facility in the United States, and we are open to any collaboration that will come.
This is what we're doing today. President Plavnilev, I'm with you. Are you with me?
Of course.
We just heard about the tourism industry that was severely affected by the pandemic. What are the necessary steps necessary by mayors or countries that should take in order to bring the tourists back, in your opinion?
You see, when it's difficult, governments have to step in. They have to come in. And they need to be bold. And they need to bring money. They need to bring new technology. They need to help so that we move ahead. People's perception of safety seems to be crucially important. And that is why, no matter if this is airplanes, airports, or this is schools, public buildings, hotels, solutions are needed. And because of that, I'm very proud that today we're bringing solutions so that the next steps, as you're asking me, seem to be very simple. Cooperate with the best, take the best solutions as quickly as possible, act right now so that we could make people feeling safe again and being free again. And Israel is bringing a cutting-edge technology we can learn from, we can implement in.
Thank you. We'd like to thank you, Max. Thank you very much for sharing with us your technology. Minister Cohen, thank you for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Good morning.
And now with Ms. Vesna Baltina, Deputy Mayor of Burgas Municipality. Hello again.
Hello.
Burgas
Nice to meet you.
Burgas is one of the top European tourism destinations. Please tell us about the impact of COVID had on your city.
Thank you. Dear participants, it is an honor for me to have the opportunity on behalf of Mr. Nicole, Mayor of Burgas, to attend the IMPROVATE conference. My name is Vesna Baltina and I am a Deputy Mayor of Burgas Municipality. In my responsibility lay strategic development and digitalization, ecology and climate change. We, the people of Burgas, are grateful to be blessed to live at the Black Sea coast in a place which has been since the antiquity a crossroad between the East and the West, where different cultures meet and learn to exist together in a peaceful and friendly manner. From centuries, the Black Sea has been the trade gate, and nowadays it's now losing its significance as the coastline of Bulgaria is covered with fine sands, attracting every year many tourists in the summer season. We enacted city policies for the development of tourism and tourist attractions, combining different forms of recreational, cultural, and ecological tourism. We enjoy millions of visits. Burgas Airport welcomes over 2 million tourists each summer, but March of 2020 came, and what came with it was surreal and incompatible with our Balkan temperament, traditions, and habits. The first lockdown came, and we, in the face of the municipal administration, we were first in line in the fight against the invisible enemy. But we have learned our lesson because we lived through the 18th of July 2012. Dear Israeli friends, the date will forever be written in blood in the history of our city and in the history of our common future. On this date, 5 Israeli tourists and 1 Bulgarian resident lost their lives in the terrible terroristic attack, and 38 others were injured. Back then, we developed a set of rules and actions to protect the lives and well-being of our city's residents and guests in extreme circumstances. We followed them this year, which helped our city remain the least infected in the country. Besides that, we had the duty to preserve our people's dignity, their economic activity, and their right of freedom, and as practically as possible. With unprecedented measures, we organized outdoor festivals. We invited theater artists, plays, outdoor markets, thematic weekend that became our reserved city label in order to support the business activities. But besides all our efforts, per National Statistic Institute, the tourism sector met 63% decline in 2020. Unfortunately, many people lost their lives, their jobs, their way of living. We were lucky because we got help from many friends of our city, and that supported us to overcome the disaster and to manage the physical and psychic damages.
Thank you so much. Please stay with us. I would like to go to you, Ilanit, and how do you see the changes in the industry after this crisis? You just mentioned the crisis in Bulgus, and what models are you developing for the day after?
So we sharing the same values and the same challenges. Remember a time just before COVID that the city of Venice said we have too many tourists, we don't want them. And they needed to balance. And the same happened with Barcelona and others.
Mrs. Svetlina,
you have to go back. So I've established an international forum for different tourism destinations where we are sharing ideas and values, also technology incorporating into the tourist experience, trying to see how together and what can we learn from each other, because there's a whole box of tools that we have to share. And you know, we are in competition, but it's a healthy one. And I think that one of the things that COVID showed us is that we have to share that.
Share the experience.
Between government and how do you manage crisis also in the future.
We just heard from Greece and Bulgaria. How can you run a city in the COVID area and succeed?
Exactly. And I think that, you know, Greece, they would want more tourists. We would want to have them back, but there's now with the Abraham Accords. So when someone is coming from the Emirates, should we only offer them one destination? Maybe we can incorporate into it too. From India, because it shortened their flights in 4 or 5 hours. The people are coming from Asia. I think that we learned, at least us as a city, that you can be competitors, but at the same time, you have to work together in order for the benefit for all the ecosystem of the industry. It can only contribute to one another.
To all the cities.
Again, I want to think about, we've spoken a lot about unemployment. To see more than 250,000 unemployed in Israel from the tourism industry, it's hurting. To cross the street of the King David, that used to host the leaders from around the world,
many years, and
many
shut
years,
down.
and had its branding around the world. We will go back, of course, but I think government, as it was said here before, have to step in together with the private sector and see how it's going to be a win-win situation.
And interesting, you're talking about an international corporation, which is very interesting. Thank you. We'd like to turn to Mrs. Svatelina Boroslavova, the chair of the Supervisory Board of Bulgarian American Credit Bank and founder and chairwoman of Foundation Digitalization and Implementation of New Technologies. Good morning again.
Hello.
How will technologies, in your opinion, shape business and tourism industry in the post-COVID world?
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for being able to participate in this conference and for being able to share different ideas with experts and officials that are participating in it. Mainly, I firmly believe that the only way of finding solutions to this in these difficult times is to work together. So if we start talking about Bulgaria, there is a basic official information that says that 18% of the GDP is formed by the tourism sector. So this is really an important sector of the Bulgarian economy. And of course, being in a situation where globally the world is advancing towards digitalization, there is no other action but full integration into this new reality. So what I would like to say in a few words about one of the three Bulgarian winter resorts where we own the infrastructure, it's Pamporovo Resort. We focused on two main digital solutions. One of them is the all-in-one administration, and the other is the full service package. I'll try to say a few words about each of the two directions. So if you want to visit Pamporovo, first of all, you can choose online through our powerful Book Online Now engine. You can reserve your room, but not only reserve it, you can choose every single detail of your stay in the hotel. So in addition to reserving the room, you have the rental solution, ski rental solution. So you choose what kind of skis you want, when you want to start skiing. You give all the details, and when you arrive, you have your own skis waiting for you. So there are always also different ways to reserve a smart POS. The smart POS is you initially put certain amount of money into your own POS, and then when you arrive there, you can pay without touching anything, just using your smart POS. One of the most important things is that you can also pay your ticket online when you reserve your hotel. It can be a single ticket for 1 day, for 3 days, for 5 days, or whatever period you need to book it. And then when you arrive there, you don't have to communicate to any person. You just go to a special machine and put your QR code, which you have received in advance during the booking, and then you take out your ticket. So this is the part of the full service package. And the all-in-one administration provides conversion with a direct booking strategy and optimizes the revenue with an online sales strategy. Also, advanced analytics and revenue management tools. It also eliminates the intermediates, which I consider is a very important part of the booking process. And it provides direct connection with the service provider, which means not only the hotel owner, but the restaurant and the spa center and all kinds of services. So you can plan your stay online before you arrive to the place. And actually, when you go there, you simply visit the different places of your plan.
Great. Talking about ski made me miss the slopes. I'll be back soon, I hope. I would like to ask you what kind of technologies you seek to invest in to promote a more tech-connected world?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What kind of technologies you seek to invest in to promote a more tech-connected world?
Yeah, this is a question that is quite huge. It could not be answered in 2 words, but we firmly believe in the synergy, the co-creation between nature and the digital world of today and also of the future. So the question is how to put together and make cooperate the advantage of the modern technologies and the balance that nature gives. So one of the main directions for technologies to change will be the growing demands for intelligent natural tech approach for medical recovery. And we think that the time has come to align modern technology with nature and its natural way to heal and generate cellular reproduction. So our region, the Pamporovo and the Rhodope Mountains region, is quite famous with its negative ionization of the air molecule and its proven positive effect over the entire cardiovascular system of the human body. And together with the presence of the hot mineral water supply in the area, it provides countless of natural healing recovery program combinations. So we have built and invested in one of the biggest in the country spa centers and also in a medical recreation center. It is located in the heart of our resort, Pamporovo. And currently we are working on natural tech programs to be performed not only within the center itself, but also in combination with outdoors in the natural mineral water environment. So in 2 words, our new focus, in addition to the existing services, is on modern healthy program and post-traumatic recovery in a combination with the newest cutting-edge equipment and the unique gifts of our nature, air, water, herbs, and local bioproducts. And in this sense, we firmly believe that we can cooperate with Israel.
Yes, thank you. That makes us want to go to Bulgaria. Thank you so much for being with us today. And now to end this panel, I would like to ask you, President Plevnilev, a question to you. What tech solutions are you looking for to be integrated in your countries and cities in order to bring tourists back? And how do you see the industry changing within the next decades?
Just look at the numbers. Speaking about the region attracts more than 100 million tourists per year. The region makes more than $100 billion per year from tourism. And now it's 70% down. So nobody could allow that to go further. Governments are ready and they are really looking for the best possible solution as soon as possible. Actually, the region is even a good example because it's looking for the balance that's so much needed. For example, all the hotels in the region did not close. Ski resorts today are open. Even Greece, summer destinations, Bulgaria, Croatia didn't close even in summer, trying to find the proper balance. And here is a very simple recipe to all of the governments, to all of the businesses. If you want to bring back these great numbers, 70% up, from 30 to 100 million tourists as soon as possible, as it was 2 years ago. We need to increase the perception of people, the comfort level of people about being safe and enjoying again those great destinations and the great potential of Southeast Europe. And safety is a matter of technological solutions, no matter if it's airports. Israel has and global companies that know how to manage safety. No matter if it's cyber, no matter if it's hotels, UC schools, digital, and all the other solutions, green passports, vaccination passports. The European Union and Israel are bound to come as quickly as possible together, especially focusing on tourism, because the European Union has set the target of having 70% of people in the European Union vaccinated by end of June. And Israel is a world champion, is the best today. But we need the green passports, we need in our iPhones, we need the software so that we can again go freely one to each other as we are vaccinated, as we are safe. And there is a great push for cooperation right now that we can help the businesses to come together. So I will encourage all those ministers, and we heard their declarations, act, bring money, work with the private companies, bring solutions, regulate, come to a common standard, communicate with your customers and your partners. It is IMPROVATE, it's all about that. The Minister of Tourism of Israel with the Minister of Tourism in Greece and everybody in the region to make sure that people from Israel feel safe in the region and vice versa. I'm so impatient to come to Jerusalem. I can do it tomorrow and I wish to do it. So let's make it.
Ilanit is waiting for you. And this question, the same question will be referred to the Minister to Harris. What tech solutions are you looking to be integrated in your country in order to bring tourists back? And how do you see the industry changing within the next decades?
Yes, you're right. The industry is changing. The need of people to travel doesn't change, but I think the experience that they're seeking, the trends that we saw in the previous years will accelerate because of the pandemic. So, of course, short term, the solutions have to be around safety. They have to be around ensuring that the population feels safe when they receive the tourism, and we keep the tourists safe. So that's one aspect of it. We have installed a machine learning system in our borders in order to be able to target our testing facilities and ensuring that people are being kept safe and cases of COVID are actually separated and put in isolation. So that's, of course, one aspect. But more and more, we need to integrate all the kind of services, the seamless interaction, the things that I've heard from previous speakers in this very, very interesting conversation that you brought together. Payment schemes, touchless experiences, all those kind of things, ensuring that you can have access to the services that marinas offer, to the hotels offer, that ski resorts offer, without needing to have the physical contact experience or the need to go in a crowded place, but actually book or pay or schedule your needs. Those are the kind of systems that we feel are going to be in need of a day. That's why with the recovery funds and all the initiatives that we're taking, both on a European level and in the Greek states level, we will help fund and encourage those kind of investments.
Thank you. Ilanit, would you like to comment on that?
I think that the one great thing about this panel this morning, I think that we come with a lot of hope. I think that there is leaders here from different countries around the world, and here under the auspices of IMPROVATE, definitely I can see that there is a will to work together hand in hand to bring an industry that is contributing not only to the economy, but also to the perception of and the image and the branding of so many countries. And this is why you want to make business at the end of the day, whether you build an hotel or you're making a new startup. So I think that it's a challenge that God has been given to us, and we have to work together with us and together to get out of that. And I want to thank you for this great morning.
Thank you, Ilanit. Deputy Mayor Baltina, would you like to comment on that, on technologies that will help bring tourists back to Burgos?
Thank you. I want to say that nothing will ever be the same, and our lives will never be the same again. Our routines and habits had to change only in a few months, which clearly changed our ways of travel and commuting. Many of our new tendencies will now be novel at all. They have existed before, but the pandemic will accelerate their progress. For example, there will be an increased demand for the organization of travel to happen contactless and for transfers to be organized individually. As such, as the local administration, we should be flexible and quick to be able to respond to all expectations. We are conscious of the advantages and potential of our territory, and our goal is to overcome tourism's seasonality by proposing a common, safe, and high-tech environment where work, family, rest, and raising our children will take priority. In this new reality, trends in business and technology show that the way our employees work, where, when, why, and with whom will change completely over the next years and bear little resemblance to work as it stands today. We consider that vast networks will be of high importance, so we are happy to say that Burgas is the first city in Bulgaria with full 5G coverage. We aim to improve the quality of healthcare by investing in and supporting the municipal health facility. We are conscious that by the end of the decade, the most high-value work will be cognitive in nature. Employees will have to apply creativity, critical thinking, and constant digital upskilling to solve complex problems. That's why education is our absolute priority. We are working towards the improvement of the environment and strive to implement innovation in people's life so to make them easier. Turning Burgas into a smart city is not an end in itself. It's our city's natural development, generated by the new normal.
And thank you all for this interesting panel. And we hope that it won't be long before we can get the tourism industry up and running. Thank you.
On most vacations, you take a trip. But in Israel, you'll take a journey you'll never forget, where you experience things so extraordinary, they change you in real and unexpected ways. From the inspired to the inspiring, the humble to the truly humbling, the transfixing to the transcendent. Here you'll find a true crossroads of the world, where people come to learn, laugh, connect, and immerse themselves in a country with thousands of years of recommendations. No matter which other destinations are on your list, what you see, touch, and feel in Israel, you'll never experience anywhere else. Begin your journey to Israel now.
Yes, just to remind you, IMPROVATE exposes and makes accessible Israeli tech innovators to governments and companies around the world to promote businesses whose goal is innovation and helping developing countries. The exposure right here at the studio and the conference is a first step, followed by delegations and real-world business connections. Now we're with health. As we all know, COVID has affected almost every aspect of our lives, but more than anything, it has affected our health. With a death toll of over 2 million people around the world, health systems that almost collapse, and with the vaccine being developed and now distributed globally, not to mention the medical teams around the world who faced countless hours of work. We're talking about health. Joining us today, Mr. Kostadin Angelov, Bulgaria's Minister of Health, Mrs. Zoya Panova, CEO of Bulgaria AstraZeneca, Mrs. Adi Jacobson, VP Marketing at Zebra Medical Vision, Israeli Ambassador to Serbia, Mr. Yael Vilan, Mr. Nicholas Christodolidis, Head of Economic Diplomacy Department at the Embassy of Greece, and leading Israeli medical innovation companies. And of course, still with us, President Plevnilev. And I'm with you, President Plevnilev. Are you satisfied with how the vaccination process is progressing in Eastern European countries?
Speaking about innovation, you see such a great example in front of all of us. Pandemics is coming. People fear. Hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost. And then innovation is coming. Scientists, companies, governments, in an unprecedented way together to solve human lives. And in an unprecedented time, I have to say, in such a short period of time, we saw vaccines coming to a virus we didn't know, and we didn't have a solution. And we were struck and we were surprised. I want to thank all the scientists, all the ministers of health, all people from business that are with us today, because you guys are doing, you are doing miracle. And as an ordinary citizen, I am very, very, very grateful that a solution has been found in such a short time. And now, of course, Israel is a world leading country that is setting up the target, breaking all the records about the number of people being vaccinated. And this is, of course, what governments should have to have an example. When it's about the life, when it's about the safety of people, governments have to do as much as possible, as quickly as possible. And Israel is giving a great example. The other governments are also catching in, especially speaking about the region of Southeast Europe. The 5 European Union member state countries are running ahead. The target is to vaccinate 70% of people until June this year. One of the problems I see is that the European Union, also the United States, in a way left alone some other countries. For example, the Western Balkan countries have to find for other solutions. And here we'll have representatives from Serbia, as the European Union and the United States could not supply very quickly vaccines to those countries. For example, Western Balkan countries have been taking vaccines from China, from Russia. And it is very important that we will see that everybody, no matter where he is living, which country he is a citizen, has to have the right to be vaccinated, the hope to be vaccinated as soon as possible. So we're going to have today a very important discussion, not just about where the governments are, where the vaccination process, which is bringing hope, which is bringing solution to all of us, is. And that affects all the industries, all the businesses, all the economies. We just spoke about tourism, empty resorts, empty cities, 70% of tourist destinations and tourists down. This is a drama. It could be solved only when those ministers of health, when the governments are stepping in and bringing solutions. Thank you for innovation happening and saving lives of people. And I'm very interested to hear what are the plans of the different governments as quickly as possible to bring solution to people. And I want to encourage those governments to put as much as possible money, efforts, in order for this process to be accelerated as much as possible.
Thank you. And from the Ministry of Health of Bulgaria, Ms. Jenny Nacheva, Deputy Minister of Health, Bulgaria, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for the invitation.
We can hear you, given the fact that Bulgaria... Yes. Oh, okay. Now it's better. Given the fact that Bulgaria is facing the highest death rate in the bloc, what are the health challenges you're facing today?
First of all, let me thank organizers for inviting me to take part in this panel discussion. medical innovations, it is crucial to think what has to be done after overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID has made us to introduce unprecedented measures to put extreme pressure on the capacity of health systems. Communications and rapid exchange of data with agencies and organizations at national and international level has been extremely intensive and important for the timely protection of health of the population. In Bulgaria, until January 2021, a number of restrictive measures remain in force, which currently contribute to the successful containment of the spread of COVID-19. The health system has been mobilized to meet the needs at national level, which is why we follow a cautious approach, which takes into account both the choice of the appropriate moment and the gradual release of measures. So we are observing the situation on a daily basis. We are following all the practices across world and Europe, and we are trying to do our best in relation to our populations in terms of health, taking care, and in terms of health measures. Thank you.
How is the vaccination rollout progressing in your country?
I'm very glad to inform you that on December 7, 2020, Bulgaria adopted a national vaccination plan with priority groups, and we strictly adhere to it. The plan is based on the routine system for administration of vaccinations in the country and monitoring reactions after vaccination. In addition, we have set up a national vaccination task force whose activity is for the success campaign and increase the public confidence in vaccination. All levels and units of health system have been mobilized. Information is published daily on the United Information Portal. The media are also involved in the communication campaign. The immunization campaign itself started on December 27, as I mentioned. As of January 21st, the number of vaccinated people is 24,127. No significant problems have been reported so far. So we are following all the European procedures, and we acquire and continue maintaining the plan approval and implementation through the whole year.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. We'll get back to you shortly. Thank you. Kamada is a publicly traded international biopharmaceutical company focused on specialty plasma-derived life-saving therapeutics. Kamada has 2 FDA-approved products focused on the development, manufacturing, and commercialization of specialty plasma-derived life-saving therapeutics. Here with us today, Amir London, Kamada's CEO. Hello to you.
Hello, Sharon. Thank you.
What is the treatment developed by Kamada for COVID-19 and how it is different from the vaccine we all talk about?
Very good. So the rationale behind our treatment is that patients that recovered from the COVID recovered because their body naturally developed antibodies. So what we know to do is basically to take donations of plasma from those recovered patients, what's called convalescent plasma, and to purify from that plasma the specific antibodies against the COVID virus. So by making a pharmaceutical product out of this, making a drug out of this, we can treat hospitalized patients suffering from COVID, basically boosting their immune system to fight the virus. So this is not a vaccine. It's basically meant to treat hospitalized patients and to catch them while they are in the high viral load status before their situation worsens over time.
Is your product already available to treat patients?
Absolutely. So we were the first company in the world basically bringing our innovation to play to develop this type of product. And we completed a clinical trial that basically showed very promising results. We are continuing with our clinical development. And that product is now available in Israel. We signed an agreement with the Israeli Ministry of Health, and we are supplying the Israeli hospitals with a product to treat hospitalized patients. And results to date has been highly promising, and we're very encouraged by the impact we make on the disease currently in Israel.
Encouraging to hear that. Does Kamada offer all the product to additional countries to treat COVID-19 patients?
Yes, of course. So we are definitely approaching other governments and health authorities and are offering them to follow the path that the Israeli Ministry of Health has been taking by engaging with Kamada into a supply agreement. The treatments are given either under a clinical trial or under kind of an emergency use authorizations. Every government, every health authority has its own, path for this type of situations. And I encourage the different governments, health authorities that are listening to contact Kamada and to engage in discussion with us about, how we can help the hospice patients.
What would be the process to access this treatment?
To engage with Kamada, and we have basically the ability, we have an FDA-approved facility, FDA-approved plasma, to make the product for those countries that are in need. And as the disease, the pandemic is still there around the globe.
It will still be here for the next
exactly. And in parallel to the fact that people are being vaccinated, which is of course very important, we can help treating the ones that are being exposed to the COVID and are being hospitalized.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck to Kamada. Thank you. Moving on to the COVID vaccine, let's introduce Mrs. Zoya Panova, CEO of Bulgaria AstraZeneca, who's joining us from Belgrade. AstraZeneca is one of the few companies that has already successfully developed a vaccine. Mrs. Zoya Panova was able to record us a video earlier today. Let's take a look.
Dear Mr. President, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to speak among such a distinguished guest, and I regret that I couldn't join the discussion live. Israeli society has a long history fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. Israel is a nation that sanctifies innovation. The humanity faced serious challenges throughout the pandemic, and we look for the answers in science and innovation. The key question here, and especially for our Eastern European region, it is how we can master innovation. And platforms such as IMPROVATE are bright and brilliant examples how bridging governments and innovative companies could facilitate finding solutions. In our region, we can learn one lesson from Israel. Do not innovate for yourself. Innovate for the world, and then the world will come and invest in your country. Digitalization is the area of innovation where our region, and Bulgaria in particular, is achieving remarkable results. The pandemic forced governments to rethink the role of the digital technology in healthcare. And our belief in AstraZeneca as a leading bioscience company is that digital will become the norm across pharma, and it will be embedded in every aspect of healthcare, resulting in vividly better outcome for patients. Evolving technologies such as artificial intelligence will assist the healthcare system, will empower people, will help patients to be better informed and make healthier choices. So we want to continue climbing together to strengthen the digital identity of our healthcare systems. Thank you, and I wish you a purposeful discussions.
Thank you. As we just heard, we are now looking at the post-COVID world. We will now hear from leading Israeli medical innovation companies who will present their technologies to improve our health and health systems. In addition to our panelists, we will also have with us Mr. Peter Andronov, CEO of KBC and Israeli ambassador to Serbia, Mr. Yael Vilan. Hello to you both.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Let's start with Zebra Medical Vision. Zebra Medical Vision is spearheading medical imaging innovation through AI. Zebra Medical has 7 FDA clearances in the field and is a global leader in imaging analytics. Before we begin, let's take a look.
Every year,
1.5 million people die from lung cancer. 3 people break a bone every second due to osteoporosis. These and many other medical conditions can be prevented if discovered early enough using CTs, X-rays, and MRIs. What if you could teach computers to provide faster, more accurate diagnosis based on the combined wisdom and experience of thousands of radiologists? Zebra Medical Vision introduces revolutionary technology based on advanced machine and deep learning. Thousands of previously diagnosed cases are uploaded to our analytics engine, teaching it to create unique algorithms that can identify the visual fingerprints of multiple diseases. Then, when shown a new scan, it instantly recognizes that fingerprint and alerts of the disease. Zebra Medical Vision is giving healthcare a breakthrough tool to help millions of people receive faster, more affordable quality care. Zebra Medical Vision, the future of medical imaging.
Hello again to Adi Jacobson, VP Marketing at Zebra Medical Vision. You're here to tell us about the new technology, how it makes it possible to screen large populations and automatically detect medical conditions. So tell us a little bit about the company, about Zebra Medical.
So Zebra Medical Vision empowers radiologists through its revolutionary AI-1 technology, helping them with the ever-increasing workload of medical images. Specifically during our world pandemic, we see that the healthcare systems have major difficulties dealing with this burden. So with helping them bring better patient care, we also help identify treatment gaps. We help with better accurate diagnosis while we help those healthcare systems reduce costs and increase their top-line revenues.
How will AI enable us to screen large populations for understanding medical conditions?
So the key to a true patient care leap is preventative medicine at scale. What ZebraMed does, we scan existing MRI and CT images, detecting signs of chronic diseases. We then alert the treating physician that this patient has signs of chronic disease. They bring them back in and put them on preventative care, helping them with oral medication, physiotherapy, and other measures to prevent the disease from progressing.
So what kind of conditions can you detect today, and what are the benefits for patients, for healthcare systems?
That's a great question. So we focus on the 2 main causes of morbidity and mortality in the world today: coronary artery disease and osteoporosis, which focus on both male and female leading cause. We basically detect, this study published in Nature Med magazine shows how we automatically detect vertebral compression fractures that are a leading sign of osteoporosis. And we help measure them, and we alert the physician when we find them.
So what experience have you gained so far with this technology?
So this technology is already embedded globally. We work with the NHS in the UK, in Israel, for example, with Clalit Healthcare System, which is the 2nd largest HMO company in the world. We work with Intermountain Health in the US. This is a great example of how we detect those moderate to severe vertebral compression fracture. We measure them. We alert those cases to the physicians automatically and help them truly face the burden of medical images in the day-to-day world.
Thank you very much, Adi Jacobson, for being with us today, and good luck to Zebra Medical.
Thank you.
We'll get back to the Deputy Minister of Health of Bulgaria, Mr. Jenny Nacheva. During the pandemic, many technological companies have pulled through and developed solutions to the challenges we all face. Like we've just heard, we have tested some of Israel's top innovation companies. We'll taste them shortly, and we have tasted before. But can you first tell us, what are the areas where you are looking for tech solutions to help Bulgaria's health system?
Thanks for this question. I would like to mention that prophylaxis and prevention are our first priority, and also hospital acute treatment. We are in a procedure of establishment of National Health Integrated Information System. All health providers are very welcome to introduce and develop their own systems in order to be attached to the Integrated Health Information System. We shortly have implemented innovate their technologies and ways of providing health services for all their patients. We all welcome all innovations in our health establishments. We stimulate their development, and we are ready to upgrade and integrate national health information system with new developments like telemedicine, like many other tools for prevention and supervision of the patient's conditions, etc., etc. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sivan developed the MoveCare app, detects relapses and complications in real time among recovering cancer patients, and sends an alert immediately to the care team to enable the right treatment at the right time. It also improves communication between the patients and oncologists, and by doing so, reassures patients and improves their quality of life. Let's take a look. Ablia, CEO of Sivan Innovation, the digital healthcare leader that designed and developed MoveCare. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
What's the story behind your company? Why was it founded?
So MoveCare was founded in order to improve the patient journey and the patient's life. Patients who have cancer, they rarely see the oncologist, only every 3 months or 6 months. And when the relapses occur, they are often detected too late. And when they are detected, it's often impossible to give an optimal treatment to the patient because his health state is already deteriorated. So this is the foundation of MoveCare. It's a unique digital therapy that anticipates the relapses of cancer and allow the doctor to treat earlier and then treat better.
So what's the game-changing aspect of your technology, of your innovation, your unique selling point?
So MoveCare is really like a major innovation. This is the first time in the world that a digital therapy was proven to improve survival, overall survival. We did many clinical studies, phase 2, phase 3 clinical studies, exactly like you would have with a drug, with a control arm and experimental arm. And we show that we can improve survival by almost 8 months, which is amazing.
A lot for someone who struggles to survive.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, like a patient who has cancer, like he's waiting from scanner to scanner for a potential relapse to be detected. And he's very anxious. And MoveCare allows him to feel much closer to the doctor. He tells us that on Monday morning, he fills out this questionnaire and he knows that someone is out there checking. And he knows that he has like
someone is monitoring his health.
Yeah. Exactly. So he feels more empowered, more engaged, and instead of just being a patient, he becomes a user, a real actor of his health.
It's interesting. And what's your business model, growth strategy for the future?
So it's a good question. So for now, our natural business model was the reimbursement. In France, this is the first time that such a PRO was reimbursed by health authorities. So it's basically prescribed by oncologists and reimbursed by the public health system. And we are already in about 20 hospitals in France using MoveCare, prescribing MoveCare to lots of patients. And we will extend MoveCare to other geography throughout Europe, in the US also. And we also are doing other clinical studies in order to be able to extend MoveCare to other cancer indications, so that every patient can really benefit from this unique digital tool, and also to be able to monitor the toxicities associated with the drugs of the patient, which is also the health data today is a major issue for pharmaceutical companies. It's very important to be able to monitor toxicities, compliance, quality of life of the patient, and MoveCare will allow the company to do that.
You have big plans, and I hope you will succeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we're with the head of Economic Diplomacy Department in the Greece Embassy, Mr. Christodolidis. Hello to you again. I was working on the name, meanwhile.
It's a no mean feat. Thank you.
How is Greece encouraging implementation of new technologies of healthcare in the health system?
Sure. We in Greece we set great store by innovation, and in the general sector in medical innovation, we do lead in the pharmaceutical industry, which is export oriented, and it's developed, and it's got a very good relation with research and investment. We have a lot of patents, especially on European level. The average is about above the European mean. Now, when it comes to medical tech, I have to be honest, we're lagging slightly. This is not because of lack of research, but because we haven't developed so much the model between connecting the research and academia with the industry. So. We are working in the fields of cloud computing and for e-health and big data analysis and blockchains and artificial intelligence, precision medicine. These are all things that Greece is looking at. But what we must do is, what we need to do is to streamline the whole research, to prioritize innovation and development. And the main thing to do is to enhance this interconnection that I talked about between universities, research institutes, the businesses and entrepreneurs. We do understand that health is a little bit different from the other fields. I mean, this is a policy-driven market, so it's not like just acquiring technology. You need a different holistic view when you deal
from the
with
idea to implementation and follow-up.
Yeah, exactly, because health is a public good, and you need a strategy, and you need organizational processes and structures and roles and legislation. So iterative work, trial and experiment, and we have. Obviously, there's a lot of demand, and budgets are limited. And there is one thing that in health innovation, I mean, if you fail in your customary traditional way, it's more or less acceptable. But innovation, the failing in innovation has repercussions which are much more serious. But anyway, having said that, this is a very important field for us.
And being here in Israel, when you see all the technologies
we
presented.
never fail to be impressed by the level of technological development here.
Thank you. That gives you a lot of inspiration, probably, to bring back to Greece.
Indeed. We're working on it. This is our job. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Not at all.
Now we're with Genix. Genix created a comprehensive genetic data platform for diagnostic healthcare and a source for the drug discovery industry by integrating diverse genetic and clinical data from hospitals and labs around the world. Let's take a look.
Clinical genetic sequencing is mostly conducted in genetic labs and hospitals around the world. Storing and sharing genetic data presents an unusual challenge for thousands of testing labs that generate it. Genetic data files are heavy and extremely vulnerable to privacy issues. Many labs just don't have the means to handle this data. Genix provides labs with a comprehensive cloud-based solution for managing this precious data. Quality control, anonymized informed consent management, clinical data standardization according to human phenotype ontology terms, encryption and indexing, and cyber-secured storage, keeping the data safe yet accessible. Scientists from the pharmaceutical industry and academia are eager to research this data. Genix provides them with the freedom to operate in a secured search and computing environment. Enables them to perform queries according to clinical, genetic, and metadata, and focus on the most relevant samples, assuring they are of high quality, reliable, diverse, and compliant by design with GDPR and HIPAA privacy regulations. Genix enables the entire scientific community to create groundbreaking findings in precision medicine and clinical diagnostics.
Yes, and Dvirda Hari is the co-founder and chief scientist at Genix, and he's here with us. Hello to you. Why does pharma research need large amounts of genetic data?
So in the past 2 decades, we've seen a transition in the world of medicine and drug discovery from trial and error, one drug fits all, to knowledge-driven drug discovery, where we, in the vision of what we call the P4 medicine, prevent, predict, participate, and personalize. What we mean by that, the vision is getting the right treatment to the right person, in the right time, in the right dose, to personalize it. The fuel of this industry is data, of course. Mm-hmm. It's clinical and genetic data. We are in the midst of the revolution of genetic sequencing. We can now sequence the full DNA, have the full DNA of a person, of a patient, in less than 24 hours and less than $1,000. And this is unbelievable.
So this is the role of Genix in the ecosystem, is identifying the genetics of people for all sorts of uses?
Yeah, so what Genix does is actually we developed a platform to manage and analyze and interpret genetic and clinical data. So we provide hospitals around the world with this platform. They diagnose their patients, and by that collecting a lot of data. So we collect this information into a data lake of clinical and genetics data, and this is a gold mine for the research industry.
Interesting. And what's the next big thing in the field?
So the ecosystem of the precision medicine is actually, you can start anywhere you like. So patients get this next generation diagnostics from their health providers, from their physicians, their geneticists, and Genix provides these hospitals with the tools and platform to diagnose their patients. We then collect and securing the data, and by aggregating the data, we are making it available for the research industry. This translates to better data, to better drug discovery, and to accelerate this process, we are actually providing the solutions to each one of the stakeholders in this ecosystem.
Is it already implemented in healthcare systems?
Yeah, so it's implemented around the world in 17 countries, 50 labs in Southeast Asia, in China, in Europe, South Africa now, also South America, and now also the US. And a very exciting thing now is that we have the Hong Kong Genome Project, the national project of sequencing the DNA of 50,000 patients in Hong Kong. They are going to do actually this specific circle. They are going to sequence the patients, to diagnose them, to collect the data, make it available for the research industry, and then create new treatments, new diagnostics, and so on. And actually
so
now...
this is a kind of hub that you will learn from?
No, actually, Genix is bidding for this project with the largest player, integrators, and cloud providers in the industry. And actually, it's very exciting because we are writing it now. Yeah.
Certainly. Thank you so much for being with us today. Now we'll talk to Israeli Ambassador to Serbia, Mr. Yael Vilan, live from Serbia. Hello to you.
Hi, good morning, Sharon. It's a great pleasure to be with you.
Yes. What kind of technologies Serbia is looking for, especially in the medical field?
Well, I just want to clarify at the beginning, I'm representing the government of Israel, not the government of Serbia, but definitely...
Yeah.
And it's really a great pleasure to be among such great ideas, great innovators from my country, from Israel. And I want to thank you for this opportunity, first and foremost, to be here as a listener, because I think we are, as mentioned, I think from one of the speakers before, and I know now after the Abraham Accord, which are very important, we are somewhat more integrated or more looking once again to the east. But this is our neighborhood. This is where we should be and invest. And our government, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other ministries, of course, are here, me and my colleagues in the other embassies, to help the Israeli companies to do more business, to invest in these countries. Now, the Serbian government in recent years put very high significance on improving the environment, to create more favorable environment for high tech, for technologies, and to base their economy much stronger on technologies. The economy here is doing a bit better than other countries in Europe vis-a-vis this huge corona crisis. The estimation is that the GDP of Serbia will be only 1% minus, which again, it's better than other countries.
Yes.
And again, I think it's a great opportunity for our companies, not only on health, but absolutely health will be a major field in the next coming years.
Yes, and from your experience working with the Serbian government, what is your message to the Israeli tech companies about the opportunities in Eastern Europe and in Serbia?
Well, my message, is the message for us, for my staff here, I would like very much to see the economic level of cooperation narrowing the gap to the political level, which is very, very friendly and strong. And I think at the end of the day, through economic cooperation, through investment, you really make these great relations to be felt by the people. I mean, we can give the support, the political support, sometimes the legal framework, but at the end of the day, as governments, we are not doing business. We need to bring the business communities to work stronger, and that will bring benefits for the two people. So the embassy here, and again, I'm sure I'm talking on behalf of my colleagues around the region. We have today people from Greece, from Bulgaria, I'm sure from other countries in the region. We are here for you. We are here to really help to bring these amazing Israelis that you showed throughout the day, to bring their products to Serbia and to the region.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Yael Vilan. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
IMPROVATE Medical Solutions manufactures useful and easy-to-operate technology emphasizing two aspects, heart and breathing in medical emergencies. Here with us at the studio, Guy Halpern, VP Products and Clinical Research. Hello to you.
Hi, so I'm happy to be here.
Tell me about the company.
So IMPROVATE, as you said, is a medical device company that specializes in cardiac and respiratory emergencies. We have three projects that we focus on. The first one is the Ventway. The Ventway is a turbine-based ventilator that is the lightest one in the market right now, weighs only 1 kilogram. We have three models. You can see them maybe on the screen. The first one is the military version. We developed it together with the Israeli Defense Forces, which has already adopted it. They're calling it Rafael. The second one is the civilian version, which has been adopted by Magenta Vida Dome and by many other organizations around the world. And the third one, our newest model, is the MRI-compatible version. This is a unique solution for times like this, like the COVID-19 crisis. The MRI-compatible version will be able to transport patients from one department to another without the need to switch between ventilators. And this is why the Israeli government chose us as one of the largest suppliers of ventilators during the crisis.
Very interesting. What's the company's vision?
The vision is quite simple. We want to improve patient outcome by providing them with cutting-edge solutions, and the caregivers by providing them cutting-edge solutions that will empower them to save lives. That easy, that simple. And this is why we put so much emphasis on our design, because we know that for it to happen, every small detail will matter.
What differs, what sets the solutions apart?
Well, at IMPROVATE, we try to focus on three main things. The first one is how to empower people to save lives. You do that by, first of all, providing them with simple design that will provide them the maximum performance. And of course, the ability to ensure a continuum of care. This is what we do, and this is the three products that are focused on.
There are three products,
Yeah.
right? And we just mentioned
We just
two.
mentioned one, and we have no worries.
So let's refer to the other
two
two.
more. There's
yeah,
two more.
Let's see.
So the second one is the Lubo. The Lubo is a non-invasive airway management device that has a unique combination of simultaneously open the patient's airway and also protect the cervical spine. We are now being adopted by the Israeli Defense Forces as well, I'm happy to say. And the third product is the SALI. The SALI is a full critical aid system that we think will change the way bystanders and communities will look at medical emergencies that are happening outside of the hospital.
So who's your target audience?
Well, we have a wide variety of audiences, starting from EMS to hospital organizations, to militaries. Community healthcare, of course, is one of the main topics. So the Ventway is a unique combination for transportation inside hospitals between the one department and another. The Lubo and the Ventway is also a great solution for military use. And of course, the SALI for community health is a unique solution, and we'll talk about
So, so you can talk about the SALI system.
So like I mentioned, the SALI is a full critical aid system that we think will just change the way we look at medical emergencies. The first thing you need to ask yourself when dealing with an emergency is how to react. The second thing is what to do and what to use. Now, with the SALI, what you get is the full package. You're able to, first of all, have a connection between all the relevant services that are in charge with the medical emergency. We are empowering people to save lives by providing them with early diagnosis and faster intervention that will improve patient outcome.
Yes, and in your view, what's the change that has taken place in technological developments in the field of medical devices during this era of COVID-19 pandemic?
So I think that what we all realized during this pandemic is that we need to change the way we think, and we need a more involved community, a more involved responsibility by everyone that is in charge of the whole atmosphere. And to do that, you need to change the way we think. SALI will give you that change. We have here three different projects that we have, one in Germany, one in Israel, and one in Romania. And Romania is the perfect example of how to change your view. There, we're deploying hundreds of units together with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the National EMS, that's the Emergency Medical Services. We are establishing a safe zone for medical response, a way for the community to really treat people that are suffering from cardiac arrest, from respiratory distress. Having that connection between the national EMS and the caregiver is what will change the patient outcome.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Also here with us today, Mr. Peter Andronov, CEO of KBC. Hello to you.
Hello, and thanks for inviting me. Thank you very much.
With many people having suffered a blow to their financial stability due to the crisis, how can banks boost consumer confidence and help fuel the post-COVID recovery?
Well, definitely one of the things that the banks have to do is to keep being stable. If you recall the Great Recession in 2008 and 9, one of the reasons why the economic downturn and actually the hit was so strong was because the banks themselves have little capital, and this was one of the reasons how this translated into the economy and brought additional trouble and issues in the real sector. So the banks have to keep stable, and I can tell now this is different, completely different to the experience that we had 10 years ago. Now the banking sector, at least in my country, but I see also in the whole European Union, maintains very high levels of core capital, which allows the banks to remain active and to keep a active stance towards the client, so that credit growth persists. We see also in my country last year we had like 7-8% credit growth despite of COVID, and we have quite active credit intermediation, which is the thing that the economy, the households are needing right now. The second thing, of course, is by embracing the recovery local and international programs, because there are many coming from the European institutions, the European Investment Bank, the European Bank for Restructuring and Development. There was a lot of local initiatives and EU initiatives, so that enough financial support is available and could be translated to the economy and the households to make additional available resources so that they can recover and restore. Of course, by standing close to the well-known clients for years, we understand that the clients are suffering a extraordinary, I would say, force majeure event, which of course will pass, and one day the things certainly will normalize, so that we have to help the clients in this difficult days so that they could pass easily. And of course, by keeping a prudential but reasonably positive lending attitude, it's another thing which we believe will help, because now closing the doors, closing the shops, and just waiting the storm to pass would be a detrimental stance, and not only hurting the economy, but also hurting back the banks themselves. And last but not least, one of the things that the banks definitely have to do is to offer more and more their digital platforms, and offer all services digitally, remotely and instantly, so that the clients could use the services without necessarily being forced to visit branches to have physical meetings.
So you think banks will transform themselves in a way that technology will enable, such as AI, they will play an important role in the digital delivery of products and services in the banking?
Definitely. Obviously, the digital transformation has been boosted quite a lot and soared during the last year. The crisis actually has driven the digital agendas of the banks to next levels, and moved a lot of clients from physical to digital services. We see more than 150% transformation. We see already a lot of artificial intelligence, robots, chatbots, big data programs being pursued by the banks, but that changing tremendously the offer to the clients and offering a different journey, again, instant, remote, and with individual services. And another thing is, of course, moving to cloud, which is also helping the banks to accommodate gigantic data lakes and use the advantages of the cloud environment. One of the things that definitely we see as a area where the technology and the innovation should be brought further in is, and the banks are demanding this, is high digitalization of the public services, because a lot of our services could not be entirely digitalized if the public services and registries are not entirely digital themselves. And last but not least, with this very high digital transformation, we need definitely to help and to work with the households and the companies to increase their cyber culture and their cyber awareness, because they have become, of course, naturally in this period of transition, to some extent also victims of criminals. So the training, the education, the preparation of households, people and companies for the new era is a very important area of investigation, innovation, and training and collaboration.
Thank you so much for your words and for being with us today.
Thank you.
Mr. President Plevnilev, what are your impressions so far from what you have seen?
You see, COVID has shown to us how important it is to have a prevention, to think about bad days, because they will surely come. How important it is to have a preventive care. Strong immune system, you don't get just for one day, so you need to work on that. It is the same with governments, with countries, with families, and with people. Speaking about the economic situation in all the countries in the world, just 2 days ago, I spoke to the chairman of the International Monetary Fund, and it was obvious that countries who were managing their finances better, building reserves, having preventive care of budgets, finances, health, they are moving in a much better shape through this extremely difficult situation as we're facing today. And because of that, I want to encourage governments that are represented today to contact those amazing companies. We see their presentations and many more through IMPROVATE, because we saw emergencies, we saw hospitals full of chaotic movements up and down, we saw people dying in the corridors, we saw a lot of chaos. We have to learn from that. And the only way to really show that you're learning as a responsible politician or businessman or leader is to take preventive measures right now. So we need to buy new equipment. We need to improve our systems. And some of the products I see are truly unique. I will encourage all those Israeli companies to come to the region. We will host them. We will help them. We will bring them to the governments, to the hospitals. There are thousands of hospitals here. Just in my country, we have 300 hospitals. We see, for example, with the case of IMPROVATE, a very good cooperation with Romania. That's a great example. It could follow with the others in the region. We see amazing products like those of Kamada, of Zebra, of Sivan, Genesics, and the others. You're welcome in the region. And the opposite. You guys, all those companies, innovative companies in Israel, you can do more, be a bit more ambitious, come to our region, we will open the doors. A lot of money will be poured in the next years to improve the healthcare systems. There's a European money available, government money available, the programs are lining up, and we need to bring you here to the market that is dynamic. And definitely, you can do a good business here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. HD Bioimaging is a revolutionary patented medical imaging platform technology with a mission to detect and classify cancer early on the spot to save life. Shani Toledano, co-founder and CEO, and Dr. Gabriel Polyak, a radiologist and a chief medical officer of HD Bioimaging, is here with us today. Hello to you.
Hello.
And before you'll tell us about your exciting technology, let's take a look at your video.
Experts agree that early detection of cancer is a major contributor to the successful treatment of all cancer types and cases. Yet detection and diagnostics are the weakest links in oncology healthcare. Current cancer diagnostic methods may involve harmful radiation. These facilities are large, expensive, and scarce, making them inaccessible in the doctor's clinic. But above all, they rely on human perception to decipher, slow to produce diagnosis that may be arbitrary and inevitably inaccurate. HD Bioimaging has developed the first 4D thermal diffusion imaging system, a revolutionary new cancer imaging technology that enables safe, real-time detection of cancer in its smallest manifestation and earliest stages. The HT handheld device is an all-in-one solution combining a heating unit and thermal imaging sensor that captures the thermal patterns expressed by the heat transit through the tissue. The unique characteristics of cancerous tissue to dissipate heat in an abnormal specific way is utilized to enable thermal pattern detection of much greater resolution. HT's technology produces thermal scans that are far more accurate and detailed, locating points of interest as highlighted images, which are evaluated by the proprietary HT algorithm, enabling faster, accurate early detection at the palm of your hand. HT Bioimaging presents a new groundbreaking method to locate, evaluate, and diagnose a wide range of cancer types. This new branch of diagnostic imaging can be integrated with standard imaging solutions to produce a functional imaging representation of suspected tissues to better evaluate cancer type and risk. Coupled with big data analysis, the HT system will amass new valuable data sets from multiple cases, producing a new diagnostic resource for institutes and facilities, continuously enriching the oncology study and practice. Small, fast, safe, and accessible, the HT device will pave the way for future applications and technologies that will transform the oncology landscape. HT Bioimaging, new data, new chance for life.
Shani, tell us more about the heat diffusion imaging. The product is here, how it works, and what unique, innovative, so much about it. I've heard it from the video, but also you can also demonstrate here.
Well, the HDI, heat diffusion imaging, it's a new imaging modality that is based on heat waves in order to detect cancer. So this machine is sending a heat wave to a tissue. Then cancer and normal tissue transfer the heat in a different way, and we know how to read this information and translate it into an image on the spot. And the analysis process is happening on the cloud, while the algorithms are based on signal analysis, computer vision, and artificial intelligence. And it's safe technology, highly accurate, and produces an immediate result at the doctor's clinic, at the primary care, and in the operating rooms. And this imaging technology is really helping doctors to see what they can see during the normal procedures. And I think this is what really unique about it.
Interesting. Dr. Polyak, you're an experienced physician and a senior medical manager who's well acquainted with the Israeli healthcare systems as well as the digital health care domain. From your point of view, how would patients benefit from this technology and how will it lead to a change?
So there are 4 traditional imaging modalities, those based on X-rays. The X-rays were discovered 125 years ago by Professor Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen on the 8th of November, 1895. And we have plain film, fluoroscopy, mammography, and CT scans. Then we have the ultrasound and Doppler, MRI, and nuclear medicine, which also reflects the tissue physiology. As mentioned, we've invented a new modality based on the analysis of heat diffusion through tissues in reference to their properties, thus providing a whole new layer of information which hasn't been clinically available until today. Our technology can be implemented in 3 main ways, either as a standalone hand device, as you can see here, or integrated with scopes, like an endoscope, a colonoscope, or bronchoscope, or as a large gantry, similar to the way that PET-CT is integrated today. None of the above-mentioned modalities can assist in the early detection of cancerous lesions, of small superficial cancerous lesions, mainly due to the size of these lesions and the properties of the modalities. So in essence, we provide a whole new way of looking at these lesions, and it can be implemented either in the outpatient clinic setup, for example, for early diagnosis of squamous cell carcinoma in the oral cavity, or carcinoma of the cervix, the colon, prostate, skin, head and neck, or in the operating room for 2 main purposes: for the detection and assisting in detection of metastases, those that the surgeon cannot see, so it's early detection as well, and also for determining the margins of these cancerous lesions and assisting the surgeon in the operating room. So for the patient, in essence, we get a technology that is really safe, immediate, accurate, and saves time and discomfort.
So it sounds exciting and meaningful vision for all of us. Could you update us regarding the current clinical implementation, outcomes, and future medical milestones?
Yes, so we've just concluded a study of over 100 patients in 3 centers, 2 located in Israel and 1 in the United States. We've examined over 100 patients, and we have very encouraging results, over 90% accuracy in our studies. The next milestones are additional sites to scale up the data that we have. So we're adding a site in Israel, and we're adding another site in the United States, a total of 5. These studies have been authorized already. And I can also say that I'm very excited to say that we're starting in less than a month's time. We're starting a new clinical trial in the intra-abdominal cavity. So we are going to enter operations of patients with metastatic malignant disease, proving what we've just mentioned. So there's a whole new world out there that we can show to the doctors, and we're very excited about that.
Very much. Shania, can you share with us HD Bioimaging goals for 2021 and the near future?
Sure. So as Gabi mentioned, we've completed 100-patient clinical trial in the United States and Israel with amazing results. So now we are preparing the discussions with the FDA. And this process might take about 1.5 to 2 years to get there and get the approvals for marketing. And while this process is running, we are going into market with the veterinary product. The first PET, non-invasive imaging modality for cancer classification of dogs and cats at the vet clinic. So, and every time a dog or cat comes to the vet clinic with this suspicious mass on top of the surface, and by the way, it happened 10 times a week for a general vet.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people don't want to invest a lot of money to pay so much money for all these kind of tests. So this
exactly. So today they will do a biopsy, which is an invasive procedure, costs $250 to produce, and will take 10 days to get the results back. Right? So with our device, they will just take the probe located on top of the suspicious mass, press only one button, and in 1 minute and $25, they will get a result whether this lesion is cancer or non-cancer lesion.
This is going to be available in Israel in next year?
Yes, next year. This year. So this is part of our plans. So our 2021 will be focused on clinical trials in the FDA process for the in-human oncology area, and the mass production, sales, and marketing for the veterinary product.
Interesting. I'm a pet person, so for me it's good news. Thank you very much, and good luck to you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
President Plevnilev, I'm getting back to you. We are seeing here today innovative solutions that can save life and improve health systems. Can you tell us, is Bulgaria encouraging implementation of new technologies in its health systems?
Well, in our country with 7 million population, we have approximately 300 hospitals, 10 of them specializing in cancer, especially as we're talking about this amazing technology we are seeing right now. Recently, with the help of the European Union development money, we had a program for almost $500 million to technologically reshape our hospitals. A lot of scanners, a lot of other equipment has been purchased. This program is going to be doubled in the next 7 years as we are planning for the period 2021-2027 to further modernize our hospitals. It was also encouraging that we have world-leading hospitals like Tokuda from Japan or Acıbadem from Turkey, in cooperation with Johns Hopkins, that are opening some branches in my country. So speaking about my country, I can surely say we have a new program that is going to be implemented 2021, 2027 with at least $700 million on reshaping technologically our hospitals. But if you put the region together, Greece is even bigger and more advanced of us, Romania, Croatia, all the 11 countries. Surely we're speaking about thousands of hospitals and several $billion of money that will pour into modernization for the next 3 to 5 years' time. So Israeli companies are really welcome. It's the right time to come.
Great. So we have another technology coming up. Thank you very much. Tempramed. Tempramed provides products to the last mile of injectable pharmaceutical from the pharmacy until the end of use. Let's take a look.
Hundreds of millions worldwide use temperature-sensitive medications that cost hundreds of billions. This includes insulin for diabetes, epinephrine rescue for allergies, expensive biologics, and medications for other conditions. These medications are kept at proper temperatures from the time of manufacturing until the pharmacy. However, once they leave the pharmacy, there are no medical devices that allow patients to keep these medications at the recommended temperature conditions. This put patients at risk of injecting medications that have been compromised or wasting money in fear of using compromised medications. Meet TempraMed, the pioneers in providing reliable, validated medical devices to patients, health plans, and pharmaceutical companies for this unmet need. Our first product, ViviCap 1, intended for people with diabetes, is FDA and CE registered, already sells, and can get to millions. Our patented click-and-go technology incorporates innovative space-grade insulation with a unique heat exchanger. This structure automatically absorbs the excess heat, releasing it to the environment when possible. Additional electronics provide an intuitive indication of insulin temperature. This hassle-free structure effectively enables years of temperature control without user intervention, giving patients peace of mind about their medications. Having established an initial presence on the U.S. market, TempraMed is on the verge of becoming the leader in a multi-billion-dollar-a-year market. Join us in helping hundreds of millions and revolutionizing the last mile of the cold supply chain.
Here with us today, Ilan Cohen, Chairman of the Board, and Ron Agar, CEO of TempraMed. Hello to you both.
Hello.
Great to have you with us today with presenting this leading Israeli innovation company to the European market. Tell us about your company and the product portfolio.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Sharon. And before jumping into the technology and product, I would like to say a few words about the issue that we're addressing. And I think that one thing is that COVID has taught us is that we should, at least the vaccine, that we should take very careful look at the temperature. But that thing is not related just to COVID vaccine. There are many other pharmaceuticals that are temperature sensitive. And it was striking for us to find out that while very good care is taken to control the temperature of these pharmaceuticals all the way to the pharmacy, there's nothing out there that allows patients that use those pharmaceuticals on a day-to-day basis, and talking about hundreds of millions of them, to maintain that required temperature control over the use time. So in order to do that, we have basically developed solutions that incorporates a unique technology that allows patients to use those devices and maintain that temperature control for years without any intervention. And in fact, I have here with me the first product, which is ViviCap 1. It's an insulin pen cap. You can see that's a regular insulin pen. This insulin, by the way, is completely destroyed, but you cannot see that. It looks clear. Using our device, all the patient has to do is put it over the pen, replacing the original pen cap, and that maintains the temperature of the drug and prevents it from degrading irrespective of the ambient temperature. It does it for years without any need without any need to charge it. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is put it on, and when you want to measure the temperature, press this button here and observe the light. The only thing that limits the lifetime of the device is the fact that there is a battery here that has a shelf life of 8 years. Other than that,
we can handle 8 years. But why are the products so important for the healthcare, the home care? Excuse me.
Okay, I'll take that one. I think that we will all agree, and probably have discussed that home care is one of the huge opportunities of the industry. It's a fast-growing market, and the drivers are clear. An aging population that put a lot of pressure on healthcare systems, on hospitals. There are not enough hospital beds, and it's all clear, even before COVID-19. The second driver is, of course, the cost efficiency. It costs less to treat someone at home when it's possible. Safety and convenience. I think that patients prefer even to be treated at home, don't go to medical centers with all the microbes and problems that they face there. And the last driver is technology. I mean, the technology allows for remote medical advice, remote diagnostics. Probably a lot of the startups you will see here are connected to that. But there are challenges. And one of the huge challenges is that the last mile is not regulated, less controlled, less monitored than the previous stations, e.g. the hospitals, the pharmacy, the distribution, which are highly regulated. And drugs are kept in poor conditions, compliance is not assured, and the customer might take, the patient might take even a defective drug without knowing it. We solve a basic issue, which is the temperature and maintenance of drugs at home. Instead of putting it just in the closet with poor temperature conditions, you saw, I think, what Ron has showed you, hassle-free, high technology, patented technology, and long-lasting. I mean, and imagine a chronic patient, chronic disease patient that has to do it every day of his life. You can't expect him to take a refrigerator to the seashore. So we're solving a huge issue, which is the maintenance of drugs at home, at the last mile, which is a basic condition. We will add connectivity. We'll talk about it later, probably.
So will your future products be cloud connected? Think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's the plan?
That's exactly the plan, by the way. Because, you know, I mean, when you look at chronic disease, for example, data management is a key. And if you want really to treat someone at home when he has a chronic disease, you need the data constantly, accurate data. The problem is that there's no compliance. I mean, if you ask the customer to do that and add headaches to the headache he has already, for example, if he's a diabetic, he doesn't comply. What we do is we ride on solving a basic problem, which is temperature. You want to maintain well your drugs, take our product, it goes with you everywhere. Once we have that, to add connectivity and measure, for example, compliance, last time you took the drug, temperature, give you alerts, is almost obvious.
That's the future.
So our plan is really solve the basic problem, the basic challenge of temperature, go ahead and give you a lot of data on connectivity without the customer having to do anything.
Anything to add?
Well, we have already tens of thousands of people that use our product already in the world. It's FDA approved, FDA registered. It has clearance in other countries as well. We sell in Germany, in China, in India, in many territories, and we are now just trying to grow faster and get our products in other solutions as well, not just diabetes.
Thank you so much for both. Anything you would like to add? Anything?
Maybe one second.
I felt you had something to add.
You know, when you look about the patient, I mean, he might use the drug today without having a solution, but he might use a defective drug, even damaged drug sometimes. And sometimes it's life-saving, like epinephrine. We, I think, solve a basic problem in an easy way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
both for being with us today.
Thank you.
Just to remind you, IMPROVATE exposes and makes accessible Israeli tech innovators to governments and companies around the world to promote businesses whose goal is innovation and helping developing countries. The exposure right here at this conference is just the first step, followed by delegations and real-world business connections. Education. One of the key sectors that was affected by the pandemic is the education system. Hundreds of millions of kids of all ages around the world have been stuck at home for almost an entire year. Universities are closed, and the world found itself having to rapidly switch to e-learning. While there are sociological and educational implications to this, there are also opportunities to rethink methods of education, especially with children who are so digitally aware and capable. I'd like to welcome our panelist, the Deputy Minister of Education and Science, Ms. Karina Angeliva, and Ms. Dr. Alexander Schneider, the EdTech educator and educational researcher, Ms. Sanya Damjanovic, chairperson of the CEAST Steering Committee, Minister of Science of Montenegro 2016 until 2020, and Dr. Jaroslav Zweig-Karpowicz, a scientific economic counselor at the Embassy of the Republic of Poland in Tel Aviv, is also with us, and also still with us, Irina Nevzlin, who will join us, and President Plevnilev. President Plevnilev, hello to you again.
Thank you. If there is really one thing that changed in a day with the pandemics coming and hitting all the countries in the world, and one thing that really totally shocked me in a positive way, how a revolution in a day is possible, and it was linked to digital education. I am a father of 4 children. And as the pandemics hit, it was very important to see what we're going on. And I was very proud to see how the system in Bulgaria has switched in a day, moving digital, uniting, bringing all the children. Everybody was in a way happy, excited. The system worked, performed perfectly. Everybody had to adapt, teachers and directors and children. But it went very well. We were all very excited and we're very proud the way Bulgaria managed to overcome this extreme difficulty. But there is a lot to be done. If you look at the broader region, countries like Greece and Romania and Croatia, Serbia managed to quickly adapt to the new reality of distant learning. Some other countries like Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Northern Macedonia, had to do more. And actually, it is again, extremely important for all of us to understand, as we're now seeing the weaknesses of our system, it is the right time to invest in new technologies. And what makes more important, what makes more sense than education, educating our children? What is more important than taking care of our teachers, that really they can do their best to form the characters and the knowledge of our children? Because of that, I think it's very exciting that we're going to debate today about digital education, about projects, about platforms for education for the future. Israel, again, is leading into this segment, and we are very impatient to see these products. And the governments in the region are ready, as they performed well, and they are ready to improve, to look at those products and implement them.
Thank you so much. Right now, my daughter is doing her matriculation test at home. Good luck with that. Okay, thank you very much. Joining us also from Bulgaria, Deputy Minister Ms. Karina Angelieva. Thank you very much for being with us today. Can you hear me? Okay, we have a problem with the sound. Okay, we'll continue with that. Let's go to Data eTech. That's the first company will present eTech Labs with a solution to an educational system for group thinking and learning. Dr. Schneider has extensive experience in the development and promotion of integrated technological educational systems in Israel and abroad. Data eTech Labs is going to present the Brain Station, a unique learning group learning platform to build a digital desk equipped with sensors, integrated software, which allows implementing highly complex educational challenges in the experimental and challenging learning environment. Let's take a look.
Introducing Brain Station, an innovative system for group learning through play and illustration, a digital system that integrates sensors and artificial intelligence. Brain Station creates a unique learning experience. The writable desk with its integrated screen is designed for students of all ages, for learning writing, reading, math, geometry, basic concepts, and more. Brain Station is also designed for group play, a major change from isolating technologies today. Additionally, Brain Station includes physical game kits adapted for learning and group games. The table's height can be adjusted as needed and even made accessible for wheelchairs. Brain Station provides a real solution for educators and students' needs. Active learning and greater student involvement in the lesson. A learning process that is based on discourse, interaction, and reciprocity between group members. Personal and differential student progress according to their skills. While understanding and internalizing the material, students develop social skills, such as cooperation, listening, and teamwork, and even practice skills such as general coordination and hand-eye coordination. We invite you to experience the unique and fun learning experience that is BrainStation, the smart and innovative table that will change the way we learn.
Yes, Alexander Schneider, data edtech educator and educational researcher. Hello to you again.
Hello.
Dr. Schneider. Is it already possible to assess the effect the pandemic had on our education system?
Well, no doubt that the coronavirus pandemic really posed a challenge to the education world. The same way the medical world were requested to find a solution and immune was invented, same way education system will have to do similarly and try and find a solution. The world that we're going into will not be the same as the one we knew. Education system will need to respond to that. And for that, they need some educational innovation. And educational innovation requires technological innovations as well.
Yes. And can you point out major changes that would be taking place today in the world of education towards the future? You said technology, but let's try to, understand exactly what.
Yeah, we have to teach our students that in the future, that learning can be anywhere and anytime, not necessarily at school, not necessarily at the classroom.
My daughter proved it in the bed.
That's the best place to learn right away. And learning is a lifetime process. It's a lifelong process in which you have, according to the circumstances and changes that we're facing, just like today, you will have to learn at any age, facing changing circumstances. And the thing is, and the most important thing, is that more means and equipments will be available to them than before, and they should know how to make use of them. And the important thing, the most important thing, I think, is that in the past, usually, like your daughter, they were tested and evaluated and taught and learned individually. This is over. Future world needs group thinking. If you look around and see what's happening in, like the immune, it was not developed by one man that an apple fell on his head. It was developed by a group. High-tech companies, they are all working in groups.
Brainstorming together.
That's right. This is something that has to be part of the new thinking for education. No more individual thinking. It is all combined group thinking that enable you to make use of the benefits and the strengths of each and any one of the students that you are teaching and have a product that is the combined product of all of them.
So how do you think the system presented addresses the needs of the education during this period and also in future needs?
Okay, the brainstorm station is a system that enables a group to think and work together. The main idea behind it is not an individual student that sits by a computer and work by himself. You are working as a group, and as a group, you can actually develop things. Each one can contribute his abilities, his personal abilities, and do the best for the group. If you're looking at a group of children, each one of them is good and really can prove himself in a different area. And once they work as a group and think together, one can draw better, one can think faster, one can describe what he's doing. Once you integrate it all, the product is a much better product. And we, the combination of this high-tech table that we see in here with the way or new pedagogy can really bring us to places that we have not been there before.
And how do you plan to extend the system? You presented so that more communities can enjoy it.
Yes. We are working now on the development of the system for multi-age groups. We're working on teens. If you saw the movie, you can see that mainly it was young people that were using it. We're trying to develop the system now for teens, for high school students like your daughter, that we're able to, instead of doing her own test today, she'll be able to do it among a group. And I think that the results will actually reflect her ability as well as the other children's ability.
Will accelerate all of them.
That's right. And we're working, and one other thing we see is the challenge, I think, for educational system in the future is work with population with special needs. I think that this system can enable those students that have special needs, all kinds of special needs, really present their abilities among a group of students.
Thank you so much. That sounds exciting, and good luck to you, Dr. Schneider.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're ready to go to Deputy Minister Ms. Karina Angelieva. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you too.
Technology.
Now you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Technology has played a huge role this year. What kind of technology would you like to integrate into education system in your country?
This year, also last year, of course, show that there is exponential opportunities in education and science, and of course, the technology play a very big role. Our goal, and we are already working on this, of course, is to establish an educational cloud where we provide opportunities not only for methodologies and innovations that can be approached and used from the teachers, but of course, resources. I am very impressed from the video now that you show, and technologies play a big role to develop this teamwork, this group thinking, but also to discover and to explore and to scale up the individual needs of some kids and students, but also their talents. This is very important, and this is what we now understood within this crisis, that we should really focus on how to explore more the talents and to foster the skills of the students through technologies, but also through resources. And last but not least, we shouldn't forget, of course, and this is we show in the crisis, talking with the ministers all over the world, that very often we were underestimating that also some basic technologies are very important. I'm talking for laptops or computer means, because we shouldn't somehow allow the digitalization to enlarge the gap in the society. We need to have inclusive digital education. This is extremely important for us.
Yes. When do you expect the education system to get back to normal?
What does it mean, back to normal? It's a question
schools,
for all of us.
kindergartens.
It's very important to go back to school. Even with technologies, we have to work together. We have to work not in a social distance and social isolation. We need to work together, because what are the technologies without the human approach, without collaborating together, and even introducing and working more on artificial intelligence in education, because this is our next challenge, where we want to explore artificial intelligence for monitoring and diagnostics of the school system and of the learning outcomes. But we need to also invest in a physical new environment in schools, new environment which allows to use the technologies, but also to explore and not to forget the social dimension of education, which is extremely important.
Yes, would you like to relate to that, Dr. Schneider? She talked about the sociological effect also of being together, not only technology.
We're talking about, when we are aiming for the future, we are talking about the fact that we would like our students to be oriented in two things. First of all, we want them to be computer-oriented. We want them to know how to work with computerized and communication system of all sort of kind. We don't know yet what will be developed. We see this system, but there are other systems that might be developed in the future. So we want them to be computer-oriented. The second one, which is the most important one, is we want them to be emotionally oriented. We want them to know how to work with other children or other people, to understand feelings, to know how to communicate with them, to understand the group motivation and to respond to it. And this, she's right, because I think that this is one of the most important things in education. In Hebrew, we say, love the others as yourself. We have to teach them that. That's an old saying, but you know, today it is as important as it was before.
Don't forget that.
Yeah. And know how to work with other people, whether they're from Poland, Bulgaria. And it doesn't matter where, what the color, what the sex, who are they. If they're human beings, you have to know how to work with them, cooperate, and understand them.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Schneider. Thank you. Dr. Jaroslav Cwejg-Karpowicz, Scientific and Economic Counselor at the Embassy of the Republic of Poland in Tel Aviv. Thank you for joining us today. You're here with us. How is the education system operating in Poland these days?
If I may describe one word of the Polish educational system, I think that this system is extremely competitive. It means that both teachers and students, they are working under the constant pressure before the pandemic and also nowadays to be as good as their colleagues in West European or North American countries. And for example, among OECD countries, almost every year there are a ranking of our students, so-called PISA test, and Poland is quite successful. Now we are on the 4th position among all Western European and North American OECD members after Finland, Estonia, and Canada. But I think this is very positive. But on the other hand, I think we still lack some kind of psychological assistance, help for our kids, and especially now during the pandemic, that kids can compete and be very strong, but they are very weak, and they need very strong relations, what Dr. Schneider said. And to be honest, during the pandemic, it would be extremely difficult to invent such a innovative approach and
especially with remote learning.
Exactly, to keep relations and to develop their let's say, self-confidence.
Sustainability, or like personal. When do you think it will go back to normal, schools and education system?
Officially, each country decided to release restriction step by step, gradually. So I think, and Poland is not an exception, but I think it would be extremely difficult to come back to the situation like it was before the pandemic. And so that's why I think that we now need to make a great work and to be much better prepared, because it's not only the problem in Poland. I believe in many countries that we really need specialists who are working, psychologists, who may provide mental care for our kids. And this is, we lack this.
Very interesting. We're talking about education. You're talking about mental health and support for children. That's very important. Have you implemented during the pandemic new technologies in the education field? Are you interested in in learning about new technologies in education?
Of course. I think this is a question rather to head of schools who may say that in private schools in Poland the situation is much better than the public ones. However, we try to implement everything what is new and what's tested positively and have a positive effect. So I think that Poland is like another developed countries in this regard, and the Polish educational system is very much similar to the Israeli one.
Thank you so much. You'll probably see some technologies here. Maybe it will be interesting for the Poland education system. Thank you. Now we'll talk to Ms. Sania Damjanovic. Thank you for being with us today.
So good afternoon, everybody. It's also my pleasure to participate in this panel. But I myself now find myself maybe that I'm in wrong panel because I was Minister of Science in Montenegro, but not science and education. And if you would allow me, I will a little bit deviate from the education topic, but to show you how Montenegro sees strength via innovation and technology. And also because you introduced me as a chairperson of a special project, I would also like later to have a chance to show you what innovation power we are now bringing to Southeast Europe and facing a big challenge, and this is health, actually cancer care. So,
so go for it.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you. This was the year that science challenged, it's not only about education, but it challenged the world. What are the opportunities you see in adopting new technologies in all aspects of life? So,
actually, I always like to talk with pictures, so I prepare a few slides. And what I want just first to address that COVID actually showed us something which we knew before, meaning that we live in the best world ever, and still our world is not sustainable. So obviously what we need transformation for sustainable development. And there is a nice recipe, which is also introduced by European Commission, which is called Smart Specialization Strategy. And what is also all we know is that UN already set up Agenda 2030 with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. A European Commission, actually President of European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, also set up a Green Deal roadmap with the goal that by 2050, Europe should be first climate neutral continent. Now, if we talk about sustainable development, what this really means, it means transforming the world. And what are the instruments to transform the world? The instruments are research innovation, but not research innovation in the closed system, like at universities and some research center, but throughout through, let's say, 18 Sustainable Development Goal, which is called Smart Specialization Strategy. So for a small system like Montenegro, as you know, Montenegro is one of the smallest European countries, a little bit more than 600,000 inhabitants. And for these small countries, it is really, really important that you have, in absolute term, everything small number of researchers, small GDP in absolute term. It's very important to be smart to see where you want to direct these forces. So I'm very proud to tell you that we work on this smart specialization strategy together with the European Commission Joint Research Center, which is science in the European Commission. And we came to our strategic priorities. And this I show you here is sustainable agriculture and food value chain, energy, sustainable environment, and sustainable and health tourism. And also we are proud that Montenegro is indeed the first non-EU candidate country to adopt this smart specialization strategy. We adopted in December 2019 before COVID crisis. But what I want to tell you is that even now, we already see, and actually ICT sector is horizontal priority, but we now already see transformation in Montenegro. I just want to flash you here that Montenegro, as a small country, can be large. And we are becoming, in terms of energy, regional green energy hub. Why regional green energy hub? You know, the Southeast Europe is so much rich in sun, so many sunny days, and we up to now practically did not use all these forces. If you compare how much fuel is left for Europe, I think only 100 years. And so now in Montenegro, we are building the largest solar power plant in the region, 250 megawatts. We have many wind power plants. I'll show you here one beautiful, because it's the highest altitude, wind power plant on the highest altitude in Europe. Now, by building more using green energy, at the same time, I also want to emphasize that we have an extremely beautiful project. It is submarine electrical cable between Montenegro, Italy, more than 400 kilometers, investment of 1 billion. What I want to say now, Montenegro is now connected also with all other Western Balkan countries in the region. And what we are now becoming a country which can, through which now green energy can go to Western Europe. I just want to flash another important point. We talk about tourism. There is a huge potential in Little Montenegro for health tourism. And in terms of rehabilitation, interesting number is that in Montenegro, per capita, we have more physiotherapeutes, but really very professional than, for example, in Germany. And I also want to say that we have also big potential for organic food, not to produce mass production of the food, but for organic food. And finally, and maybe to return to education system. In our region, in Montenegro, but region of Southeast Europe, we have a big problem of brain drain. Not only individuals, we are losing permanently our best talented people, but we are also losing companies. And we did not have attractive innovation ecosystem in Montenegro. We were always jealous on Israel, how Israel managed to really boost young people to be leader in technology. And I'm proud to tell you that we now adopted a very attractive legal framework for innovation, a lot of tax incentives for startups, and coming now to the topic what I did not address at the beginning, education. I can tell you in Montenegro, we managed to adapt our system very fast. Why? Because our innovative companies, young people help teachers, and then and also on volunteering base. So the system was really, really working very fast, and this is probably something which is benefit of a small country, because it's small inertia, and being small, it's not always weak. So I would like here to thank you this moment, but later I would like to have opportunity to show you a big project which Montenegro initiated for Southeast Europe.
Thank you so much. Now I'd like to conclude and ask everyone from this panel, this session, I'd like to ask you all what you have learned from the crisis and how will it change your behavior policy in the future. Dr. Schneider, would you like to make a comment?
Well, I think that what we realize that the crisis is very much alike in all those countries that we have witnessed. And I do believe that we should share knowledge, combine our strength, and work together to find solutions.
Thank you. Deputy Minister Angeliva.
Thank you very much. We talk a lot and we heard a lot, but I think that two more aspects are very important. We are talking about using digitalization so that to have from education to creation, to turn our kids into the creators of the new technologies, but also, of course, to meet the new challenges, especially the ecosystem of and the nature and the future optimization and using of resources of this planet. So it's very important to bring back to school and to the universities our young generation, to show them that they shouldn't fear from the technologies, to know them, how to use them. But we should invest much more in teachers, in cooperation with the business, so that we equip the teachers and the students how to create also the future technologies and to meet the challenges around us.
I like that, from education to creation. I'm adopting that.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Minister Damjanovic, would you like to comment on what you're taking with you?
We learned that we all have the same home, which is our planet. And secondly, I think we also learned that globalization, internationalization is very important. Yes. And you can see production of vaccine, and that would not happen without cooperation. From the Montenegrin point of view, we also learned that our economy cannot only rely on tourism, because 1/4 of our GDP is tourism, and we are now presently facing a very bad economic situation. And that's why I think now our future after COVID, I think, is going to be different.
Thank you. Dr. Jaroslav Kapovic, your comments?
During the Second World War, the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill asked his Minister of Finance, if you want to cut all spendings for culture and education and spend everything on the new tanks and ships, what are we fighting for? So I think that during this crisis, we should not forget that investments in culture, in much more broader things than only technical solutions are extremely important.
Very important. I'm learning many new things today. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and I hope it won't be long till the kids and the students around the world will be able to go back to schools and universities again. Thank you. Thank you. And remember, IMPROVATE is about making practical changes, exposing Israeli tech innovators to governments and companies around the world to promote businesses whose goal is innovation and helping countries further their development. The exposure right here at this conference is just the first step, followed up by delegations and real-time business connections. Okay, our final question today is for President Plevnilev. You're with us today again. Thank you for joining us the whole day. You're IMPROVATE's partner in bringing technology and innovation to Eastern Europe. From what you have seen today, do you see any potential for collaboration between Israeli tech and innovation companies with governments in Southeast Europe?
A lot. Just look at how many countries have been represented today. How many ministers, deputy ministers, bankers, owners of big touristic resorts, hotels, to small companies, they're all have been so interested on this another exciting, extraordinary, important IMPROVATE conference. Just as the vaccines are coming, the hope is coming that everything's going back to normal, but the world is changing. And as we see, the crises are giving and taking chances. Now, this crisis might be giving a chance, and we see such an amazing push for better products, better education, a better healthcare in Israel. And we're all sharing your vision, your hard work, and your innovation. And we are very impatient to see Israeli companies and products to our markets. On the other side, the crisis might be also, I'm sure Israel is gonna grab this chance and be better, progress even more fast as up to now, using the crisis opportunity. But many other countries, many other governments, many other companies might be taken a chance. If you do not reform, if you do not modernize, if you do not bring your education or your healthcare to the requirements of a modern state, if you do not show a good governance, no matter today, a good governance is needed. And that is very important for all those countries we saw that are having a great potential, but that's not enough. We need to unlock this potential. Southeast Europe is wonderful, exciting part of Europe. It's prospering, it's moving up, it's peaceful, it's beautiful. It is a strategic partner of Israel. It is very close to Israel. It is a natural place where Israeli people, businesses, and politicians are always welcome, feel well, but we can do more. And I'm very impatient to welcome delegations from Israel in Southeast Europe. And we from Southeast Europe are very impatient to come back to Israel. It's something that is not just natural, it is a partnership that makes sense. It's full of love, it's full of positive energy, innovation as you see it, and future. And we will build that future together. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for those warm words. And that's it from IMPROVATE's Innovation Conference. We've heard today from Eastern European government officials, local companies, and from Israel's leading innovation and tech companies about new technologies and opportunities beyond the current crisis. IMPROVATE is all about access and connections, exposing Israeli tech leaders to governments and companies around the world to promote businesses whose goal is innovation. The exposure right here at this conference is just a first step. The next step, delegations and real businesses connections. We want to thank you all for taking part and hope that this is just a start of doing business together, making technology accessible to all and improving the lives of people across the world. A special thanks to the Jerusalem Development Authority and to the innovation companies who presented here: Kamada, Zebra Medical Vision, Data EdTech Labs, Sivan, Tempramed Israel, Innovitech Medical Solutions, Genix, HD Bioimaging, and SOPI. Keep an eye out for IMPROVATE's Community on Africa Conference next week, January 28th, in partnership with Spacecom, presenting to African leaders the advantages of using satellite communication to advance all aspects of life. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you